All right, so as we see what happened to Kevin Durant, what he said about his teammates, I know he called his teammates out. A lot of people have been having problems with that. I can understand why. You're not supposed to call out your teammates. That's just not the right thing to do. He wanted to justify what he's going through as saying he doesn't have talent on his team. He has figured out what is going on in the NBA today. There's no more one player dominating game no more. No more super teams are dominating anymore. There's no super teams, so-called super teams that you guys say are super teams that they are just winning at will. Everyone says LeBron James always had super team. The Celtics had the big three. There's a lot of teams that you could say have been super teams, but I wouldn't say LeBron always had a super team. A lot of the teams they say were super teams were not. But the Miami Heat, they were definitely a dominant team. They struggled. The Miami Heat struggled. They went to a lot of game seven. So that was more of an instance of why super teams are not really going to win. You put a super team together, they're not going to win. Brooklyn had a super team. They definitely didn't win. The Lakers last year, even though they were hurt, they didn't have a super team. But Kevin Durant is saying that he's not playing with the type of players that is going to allow him to win like he once did when he was with Golden State. And though when he was with OKC, it was him, Russ, and Harden, and Serge, and they made it to the finals, Western Conference Finals. They were a pretty dominant team. But as he has learned and what everyone has learned, these teams today are not the teams of our past. Look, for instance, Golden State. Golden State did not have a dominant big three. Draymond was down. Clay was injured. We know Jordan Poole stepped up, but they had a full squad, a dominant squad, just like the Celtics. The Celtics ran through the Eastern Conference because Giannis was not going to just beat them with just himself. Kevin Durant and Kyrie, they got swept. Joel Embiid and Harding, they didn't really play that well. So you have to have a good team today to actually win like it's just different today. You have to have a squad. Memphis Grizzlies, they have Ja Morant, but they got a lot of good pieces. As you see last year when Ja Morant was out, he was winning. I know Luka's been doing his thing, but he really hasn't made it too far. What's great? He made it to the Western Conference Finals, which is pretty good. He made it to the Western Conference Finals with just himself on that squad being ball dominant. But those days of the past is over. Look at the Lakers. They are basically a 90s team. They got a scorer. They got a big man. Matter of fact, they got Russell Westbrook coming off the bench, who's a superstar, who's a starter. And they have not been able to figure it out in 2 years. So these days of having a dominant team with a few players, it's just over. Just like when LeBron was saying in 2000, I believe 17, that they're top heavy. And they needed more than just the top heavy players. They have to have a full roster. I don't know how many you guys played in college ball. There's a lot of great college players that didn't win. You have to have a team. As we look today, all of the big schools have been losing to these mid-major schools because they're playing more of a team ball. Look at the Olympics, the international play. U.S. was bringing all their top players, and guess what happened? They were losing because the international players, the Europeans, all of Spain and Argentina, Greece, they're all playing a team ball. Everyone is involved. Everyone is moving. There's no more just pounding the ball. James Harden just pounding the ball. The Bulls was great in the 90s. They were ahead of their time. They had Michael Jordan, who, everyone says the greatest scorer of all time, but they did not just have Jordan. They had Scottie Pippen. They had shooters. They didn't really have big men dominating the pace, which is what teams are doing today. They don't need a big man sitting in the middle. I know everyone's talking about, the NBA, they're going soft. They don't have no dominant centers. The Bulls never had a dominant center, and that's why they won. They didn't need no one clogging in the paint for all their shooters. I know once, Shaq came about and they started winning, but Shaq is one of the 10 greatest players of all time. Like, he was dominant because he was Shaq. Any other center in that would have a hard time. Even Paul Gasol, he wasn't just sitting in the lane all day. He's a good passer. He could make shots. So it was just different. That's why the Lakers didn't really win with Dwight Howard. Kobe Bryant didn't really need no one sitting in the lane clogging up. Him and Shaq didn't really gel well anyways. But, they won. They was dominant. They had the two best players in the league, so they should win titles. I wish they would have won more. But like I was saying with Kevin Durant, he's just seeing how things are different today and how you just cannot sit back and just let him score and everyone else is struggling to score. These players are knocking down shots. Look at the AAU in high school. Look at what these kids are doing today. They are knocking down shots like crazy. I know when I played at high school or AAU, I was a shooter as well, but I was not. I guess I didn't get the freedom to shoot as these kids do today. But man, are they just just looking at them like, wow, I don't know if we could have competed with these guys. I know LeBron James was a freak of nature when he played at high school. We still haven't seen no one like LeBron James, period. So with Kevin Durant, yeah, I understand that he needs to have better talent around him, but he cannot throw his teammates under the bus.